Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, Andrew Bartolotta.
Welcome back to the cityCURRENT Show, where we bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good in our community and around the globe. I'm your host, Andrew Bartolotta, and today we are thrilled to have Saray Taylor-Roman with us. Saray is a remarkable Latina entrepreneur, former high school teacher, and the founder of a highly successful portrait studio right here in East Tennessee. Her journey from educator to business owner is really inspiring and transformative. So we're going to dive into that. We're also going to talk about the power of systems, self-care, and resilience. So stay tuned. But first, let's welcome Saray. Saray, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Of course. Now, first, start by telling us a bit about your background and what led you to transition from teaching to opening your own portrait studio.
I really always have liked photography as a medium. I feel that I had a lot of talented people in my family. My sister can, look at you or a picture of you and draw you with a pencil or chalk or whatever and be pretty realistic. And growing up, I couldn't even draw stick figures right. So I really thought that photography could be a way for me to express myself because I couldn't draw. So I've always liked it, but it wasn't until I was 13 when I got my first camera. I asked that for a birthday present that I really started working with the camera and just taking pictures of my friends, my surroundings, especially my pets. And then it was fast forward to college when I actually took 2 photography courses as one of my electives so that I could, and then fast forward to college when I took 2 elective courses in photography and I got to learn how to use a camera in manual. So that's where I started, but it wasn't really until 2013 when I was pregnant and I realized that I wanted something else to do that wouldn't take me too much away from my baby, like the school did when I was teaching high school. And I thought that maybe I could look into, turning my photography, my love for photography into more than a hobby and into a business.
Well, and you have done just that. You are thriving in the photography scene and you're doing such amazing work. So you go from teacher to photographer, and that must be really hard. How did you develop the confidence to make such a significant career change?
When I started, I found a good mentor online, and she was a great portrait photographer. She's out of New Zealand, and she had a wonderful course that she will teach you how to photograph anybody in 28 days. Now, at the time when I discovered her, I had just had my baby, and I was still, kind of teaching full time. So instead of doing 28 days, I did it over 28 every other Saturdays. And so after doing that for that amount of time, I realized that it was something that I could actually do. But right at the moment where I had to go back to the next school year, and I had already put together a website, business cards, social media, I chickened out and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do it. I was just so afraid. And so I actually waited one more year from being ready to launch to not really pulling the trigger. And it was very hard because, again, in my family, I am from Mexico. We are first generation immigrants here in East Tennessee. And no one in my family had ever owned a business before. And so for them, instead of being something that is so exciting and maybe, you should try it. And with businesses, things work out. Sometimes things don't work out. But in their case, they wanted to protect me from failure. And so instead of encouraging me to go for it, they were like, don't do it. That's the craziest idea. Just don't do it. You have a job that pays you every other week. They give you paid vacations, all the benefits. If you really just want to play with your camera, why don't you do it over the weekends or in the summer? But I knew that I wanted to do something more with it. So I just feel that you have to go and do it, even when you're not confident, even when you're afraid. And you're going to gain the confidence and you're going to become bolder with every step that you take. I remember a good friend of mine that met me when I had just started my journey as a photographer. She said, Saray, I could see you and you were shaking, and I was afraid that you were gonna drop the camera because we were at a workshop together. And then she says, and just to see you just a few years later, you are so confident, and now you're on stage teaching other photographers how they can also, make this part of their journey.
Well said, and kudos to you for keeping with it and persevering because I can see where as a first generation Mexican immigrant where you have a family that wants you to succeed, and so any risk involved they're going to say, are you sure you want to do this as a hobby, what's going to, and so for you to say, no, I believe in myself, I believe in the passion, the creativity to thrive, and then here you are just a few years later being able to do so, and you managed to exponentially increase your salary from what you made as a teacher to now starting your portrait studio. Talk about how you managed to do that and maybe some creative ways that you're able to build your following.
Absolutely. So for me, I think one of the things that helped me get my business off the ground the way that it is, first of all, I believe that I had God on my side and that I have his favor upon my life. And so that really gave me the confidence to go forth and try something new, especially when it comes to creativity. I remember that early on, I had a client that shared with me a verse from the Bible in Numbers that said, sometimes, you may feel like an imposter, because I was telling her that I was feeling like an imposter. This is not what I had gone to school for. And even though I enjoyed it and I was quite good at it, I just felt that I didn't have the credentials that backed me. And she said, sometimes God just puts that creative little chip in you and you just start working on something that is creative. And if you believe in my, in my spiritual journey, that I was created in the image of the creator, the ultimate creator, then therefore I am also a creative being. And so that helped me when I started, but also part of me, of who I am. I feel that at the beginning, because I felt as an imposter, as an artist, that I really lean into the business aspect, because I was like, that's something that I can learn. That's something that I can get maybe accredited for. And so I started working toward, how can I turn something that is just an activity that I do into something that can start making money. One of the things that helped me a lot is that I am a very type A person, and also most of my family are engineers. So we like to think in step by steps and in systems, like we love systems a lot. And so that really helped me. The fact that I could take a look back at my business and be like, okay, where can I become more efficient? What can I systematize? And so it started first with just my posting system. I used to like spend hours, and then my clients and I will get tired. And then I was like, okay, there has to be something. So after a year of working in the studio, I printed out contact sheets of all the clients that I've had, and I circled every image that had been purchased. And I realized that there were 5 poses that kept popping up every time. And I was like, oh, if I can just focus on that, and I can get to post those clients in those 5 poses every time that they love and that are flattering on them, then I can put that on the back burner, right? And I'm not thinking what post next, but I'm actually getting to connect with my client. I'm actually getting to be present 100% for them. And when you stop time and space for a person in front of you, they're going to feel seen, and they're going to feel heard, and that's going to make an impact and a difference in their life. And that is also going to show up in the way that you're making money. So don't focus on the money, focus on the person in front of you, and then create the systems that allow you to be present for them every single time.
That is great advice there because then you're making what seems to be more of a transaction into a transformative experience. And so then they can come to you multiple times year after year, They can refer you. And so you're building relationships. Like you said, you're making them feel special, empowered. They're already in front of the camera, which can make them feel nervous. And so
Oh,
getting out
absolutely.
nervous energy just makes them feel comfortable and seen, empowered. So I love that you're able to then take your experience, your generational experience as engineers and system goers to say, how can I take a step back and see what I've been doing in my photography studio to then be able to bring about change in the systems that I create as well. There are some really creative ways that you're doing when it comes to courses to be able to think about systems beyond just being physically present. So talk about that.
So yes, so definitely people in my industry, in the new industry, photography, started asking, okay, so who are you and what are you doing differently? And why didn't we hear about you before, right? Because it took me 3 years to 10x my teacher salary by focusing on my clients and creating systems that allowed me to really cater to their needs. And people were asking me, okay, so you've not been in the business longer than 5 years. I've been in the business for 10, 20, 30 years, and I still don't make a living. And it's that starving artist mentality that is just, it shouldn't be there, right? People provide with photography or with video or with any artistic endeavor, they provide so much happiness to people, and they should be able to pay their bills and more, right? And so I said, well, I don't know. At the beginning, I didn't realize that what I had differently were the systems in my engineer mind, right? And so I was just like, well, this is what I'm doing. And they were like, oh, I had never thought of that, because I had a system for marketing, I had a system for networking, I had a system for posing, I had a system for lighting, I had a system for everything. And I am an introvert. I am very good at one-on-one and, and with my cat by myself. But in large crowds or networking, it was just very taxing and very scary at the beginning. So I even developed a system for how to network when you're an introvert. And I will just remember, ask these questions, do this, do that, follow up this way. And then, it worked. People, really felt that I was like professional doing that. And the truth is, I borrowed my husband, and who's very good in social outings, and I brought him along, and I just observed him. I was like, oh, this is what he does. This is what he says. This is how he, carries himself. And then I made a system out of that for myself so that I will not feel like puking right before going into networking.
I can definitely agree with you on some of those introvert tactics. And I love that you are so adamant about the systems because that truly makes you unique in the way that you are creating such beautiful art, but you also do it in such a systematic way that is important. And you have, like you said, you tend to be type A, but that works to your advantage, especially in a creative field where a lot of creatives seem to be more haphazard. And for you to have systems in place, you can fly through some people that have been doing it for decades and say, I've been doing it for half a decade or almost a decade and been able to succeed more because I have systems in place because they are so important. So let's switch a little bit. Talking about balancing work and family can be challenging, especially as a mom and business owner. So what strategies do you use to maintain your health and wellness balance and just work-life harmony?
Absolutely. So this is a question that I get asked often, and I'm glad that you ask it here because a lot of the people that I mentor are also moms who also want to run a business, and and it's hard. One of the things that I've learned is that you need a tribe, and I'm so thankful that my mom lives in Knoxville, my mother-in-law lives in Knoxville, my favorite sister-in-law lives in Knoxville, right? And so we're able to help each other whenever I can be there all the time. And my husband also is very hands-on, right? So I told him we're in a partnership. This is not necessarily, just one person's job. So that's the first thing. You need to have a tribe, and sometimes it's family, sometimes it's not. But if you can put that together to help each other, just like I can help them, my sister-in-law with her kids sometimes, she can help with my daughter sometimes, and the other way around. It's just a great way to do that. The second thing is that I've learned that you can have it all, just not at the same time. And so when I am with my family, I try to be present 100% with them. And when I am with my clients, I am 100% present with them, and nothing else matters. When I am with my daughter out on a date, that's exactly where I want to be, and nothing else matters. I'm not doing work. I'm just focusing on her. When I am with my husband, that's what I try to do. So whoever you are working with, and whoever is giving you the time to be with you, you just need to be 100% for them in that moment. And so that you can have it all, just at different times, and still, feel like you're not missing out on other stuff.
Great advice there. And what's really cool to see too is how, you transition from teacher to owning a portrait studio, being a successful photographer, but then you utilize educational technology, influencing your approach to running your business and mentoring others. So talk a little bit about how people can work with you if they're outside of the Knoxville area.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a website. It's called Take Action with Saray.com, and I'm all about taking action. I tell people you can buy my course, but if you are not going to take action and do what I tell you to do there, which is really step by step, because it's all basically all my systems. I teach you exactly all the systems that I put into place to get where I am right now. Then when you take action, you'll see results. And so I have people from around the world in, taking my course. Actually, I welcomed a few people here in East Tennessee from Australia, in Europe, and around the US last year for workshops that I held at my studio. And so I try to do those at least once or twice a year. And so people can come and experience that firsthand. For those of them that, just learn better hands-on. But for those who can't, they can just go to my website and find the course or the mini courses there that, appeal to them, that they need help with, and they can just purchase that course and go from there. My master's is in educational technology, so being able to take from that and then turn something that I really, several things that I love, which is teaching, which is photography, which is making money, and helping other people achieve those same things through the power of technology. It's amazing.
And it is amazing. And I love that you're able to mesh all of your passion together to thrive. How has living in East Tennessee influenced your business and personal life? What are some of your favorite places to go in East Tennessee? As many of our listeners are across the beautiful state, what are some of your favorite things to do in East Tennessee?
So I really love being in East Tennessee. I feel that the people here are warm and welcoming, and they've always have made me feel like I'm at home. I moved here almost 20 years ago, and I feel that people just, welcomed me with open arms, and they were very understanding of my accent, which now I joke and just say it's just more Southern than yours because it's from Mexico, but I feel that people here also are such good networkers. In Knoxville, at least where I'm from, people know each other. Everybody knows each other. It's a smallish town. And what I love is that when I start working with some people at my studio, and they loved the experience and they loved what they got as a result. They told their friends and their frenemies, and then word just starts spreading out. So that's what I love about East Tennessee. I also love just our city. I think it's so beautiful. Coming from other states, when I'm driving back into Tennessee, I feel that it's so green and so lush, and you can immediately tell that you are here, and I love that. Obviously, the humidity is not my friend, and I'm not used to yet lake life, because where I'm from in Mexico, in the Gulf of Mexico, we have clear water where you can see your toes all the way. It doesn't matter how far you are in the water. And here you put your hand and then you don't see your nails, and I'm like, oh no, something's gonna get me. So I'm not used to that yet, but the Smoky Mountains are lovely, and really just there's so much to do. Like, I like to take my bicycle and just ride along my neighborhood, go to the lake area, 30 minutes, 90 minutes sometimes if I have the time. And it's a great place to be. It's a great place to raise my family. And I'm just so blessed that this is where my parents moved when we first came in, and that I got to stay and enjoy this beautiful state.
That's a beautiful answer. And what's so cool too, being a photographer, even as you focus on portraits in a portrait studio, there still is so much beauty around you, not only to photograph and capture, but also to inspire you. And that's what's so beautiful about East Tennessee as well. Where can people go to learn more about you, purchase your courses, contact you, take the drive out to East Tennessee and get their photo taken by yours truly? Where can they follow you for your efforts?
Thank you, Andrew. So they can go to taylorroman.com. So it's my last name.com, and that's for portrait work. If they want to hire me for family portraits or for headshots and branding, they can go to Take Action with Saray if they are photographers who want to take their hobby and turn it into a business and learn the systems that they'll need to put in place to do that. And they can also go to saraynow.com if they just want to learn more about my journey. It's a personal website. And they can also go to monetizeyourexpertise.com if they're experts in any type of field and they want to create their own online course and start enjoying the financial freedom that it brings when they get to share their expertise with the rest of the world.
Well, Saray, you are thriving. You're doing incredible work and inspiring others. Thank you for being a trailblazing Latina entrepreneur and working to inspire others and capture their beauty and all that you do. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you.